Here's the entire planning stage in a simple flowchart. When you follow this best practice approach, planning is productive and efficient and can almost always be done within 5% of the project effort. First, the requirements are documented, with all the detail about what the project result needs to meet the objective. Then, the work breakdown structure is prepared, a graphic showing all the deliverables that will be produced during the project, not just for handover to the customer at the end, but also including all the things the team has to produce along the way just to get the project done. With the objective, requirements, and deliverables in hand, we have the project scope documented as well as we can. Then we prepare a precedence diagram, a simple and natural flowchart of the deliverables with arrows between them showing the order they must come together. This diagram is the most human, intuitive document we produce during planning and is invaluable for getting the strategy right, communicating the plan to others, and managing the project later. After we produce the precedence diagram, it's the best time to have the core project team estimate the resources, material, services, time, and cost of each deliverable, usually with a straightforward breakdown of the activities required. Given the deliverables documenting the work, the precedence diagram documenting how they come together, and the estimates, we can then put this data into a Gantt chart tool and determine the project schedule and critical path. We can also add up the total project cost, usually broken down by deliverable, and often as a graph showing spending across time. In parallel to all this work, we prepare a risk register, identifying the risks, shortlisting them, quantifying the probable time and cost, coming up with response plans, and finalizing the risk buffer required, thereby providing the project with some extra time and cost to deal with the inevitable problems that will occur. With the scope, schedule, budget, and risks baselined, we then put them into a project plan, along with any other items the project needs, such as plans for human resources, communications, procurement, or quality, and then brief the sponsor and other relevant stakeholders. At this point, there can be a triple constraint rebalancing step required if the stakeholders direct any changes to the plan, in which case we just iterate the planning steps as necessary to make sure the final plan fits their expectations and is feasible. This simple process does more than anything else in the project management lifecycle to maximize the chances our project will be successful. Experience shows that by simply doing these steps, the schedule and budget estimates will go from about plus or minus 100% accuracy coming out of initiation to about plus or minus 10% accuracy at the end of planning. And that's the sweet spot. Most sponsors can live with a plan with plus or minus 10% accuracy, which is actually amazingly good before you start. And because of diminishing returns, it would take much more effort and cost to get a more accurate estimate. Spending just 5% of the estimated project effort to get an estimate within plus or minus 10% is the best result for the least work. The gate to execution is then at the end of planning. If you could not meet the schedule and cost constraints given to you in initiation, the end of the planning process provides a coordination point to adjust the triple constraint as needed to provide an acceptable and feasible plan before you start work. You can always review the plan at any step along the way to get interim direction if it already looks like you cannot meet any time and cost constraints. For example, if after developing the requirements or work breakdown structure, it is already obvious the scope is much larger than expected. By the way, the process is exactly the same whether the project is within one organization or a contractual effort between two parties. The only difference is that for commercial projects, the requirements are often prepared by the customer and provided to the planning team as input. But the process is the same either way, and for commercial projects, the project plan is the main document provided in the proposal. Complete common sense, as efficient as trillions of dollars of experience can make it, project planning at its simplest.